This is the Blockchain Show. The Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology.
This is episode number 72, featuring an interview with Wyatt and Zac from Constellation. Constellation provides a truly decentralized, horizontally scalable protocol with no transaction fees that is mobile-friendly and has a throughput of 10 times that of Ethereum.
Hello, and welcome to the Blockchain Show, and thank you for downloading this podcast again. And we've got something very, very good to listen to today. As you know, you've been listening to many interviews with random people around the world with their blockchain stories and ICOs. So I'm going to hand you over and let our team today introduce themselves. So if you want to go around the table, starting with Zac, let's do it.
Hi, Blockchain Show. My name is Zac Russell. I'm the head of marketing at Constellation Labs. We're a third generation DAG protocol, which I'm sure Wyatt will go into more detail in a few minutes' time. I'm based in LA, but the majority of our team are up in San Francisco. We're a team of 19 now, which includes advisors from a number of different professional backgrounds, an engineering team of 4, I believe, front-end web developers, CEO Brendan Playford unfortunately couldn't make it, and we also have a CEO, Ben Jorgensen. But the main star of the show is our CTO that joins us, Wyatt, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Quite an intro, Zac. I appreciate it. I'm Wyatt. I'm the CTO. I am the architect extraordinaire. I don't know, man. But I've been here the longest. I've been cooking this baby for a little while, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Constellation today.
Excellent. Thank you, Wyatt. And for our listeners at home, Wyatt is sitting in his office, and I can see behind him a carefully prepared whiteboard with the information about how to take over the world in the background. How long has it been on the whiteboard, Wyatt?
Since day one. Same thing we try to do every night, right?
Fabulous. I used to work with somebody who, whenever he left a meeting room, always wrote a fake organization chart just with people's initials on it, just for fun, and left it there just to add to mystery and intrigue. Anyway, so Wyatt, tell me about this protocol and tell me what you are bringing to the world.
Oh, totally. Thanks again for the sandbox, by the way. So I guess long story short, we've tried to tackle a couple of, or 3 main issues we've at least identified in currently existing protocols. One of which is scalability. The other would be, consensus, or, like a fair set of rules for performing consensus. And the other one was cross-chain liquidity. So obviously there's pretty much a 3-prong approach. I think the best way to sort of break down the story is, I guess let me just give you the high level, and then we can talk about the story about how we get to where we've gotten. In short, we've come up with a way to create a truly horizontally scalable blockchain. And that means that the more nodes, the more actual instances of the application that join the network, the faster the network throughput becomes. So the more the transaction rate increases as more nodes join the network. We created our own consensus protocol that uses a machine learning algorithm in order to perform delegate selection. We were able to sort of sidestep some of the issues of proof of stake and also the issues of proof of work there. We came up with the theoretical underpinnings for how to define cross-chain liquidity from an actually trackable form for the average developer using type theory. Those are pretty much the 3 big components that we've got going on.
So for all of our listeners listening at the moment and at home sitting there and going, what does that mean for a developer? How does this change their world?
Sure. From the developer's perspective, we're trying to provide something that's a lot simpler than other alternatives out there for, putting or building an interface to a blockchain or putting code on chain, sort of like what Ethereum is doing with Solidity. yeah, like any developer in the future. So in the future, any developer in any language will be able to use our compiler or interpreter plugin in order to check whether or not their protocol that they're building is liquid or can be interoperable with another blockchain. For sort of more the short term, any developer who wants to create their own blockchain will easily be able to fork ours. And not only that, if they follow, something called we've coined an application chain interface, they'll be able to ensure some notion of liquidity between their own chain and other chains out there. So sort of like what Polkadot or Cosmos is trying to do, except we don't necessarily force someone to use one protocol as a liquidity agent. You can engineer your own. It's just easier to use ours for scalability. It's just based upon the scalability benefits.
Okay, so this sounds very now and very important for developers. Who's using it at the moment?
Currently just us. We've got our own little instance up on, we're actually using Google Cloud Services because it's easier with Kubernetes. But yeah, from our perspective, it's just us. But yeah, we're really excited to get out there and show the community sort of how to build an application chain interface. The goal is to try and use possible, it's just sometime in the next couple of months, a good event or venue to try and demo what we've got.
So this is almost like the TV show Silicon Valley with the Pied Piper platform.
You know, man, you're not wrong. It's really funny because, yeah, it is. I mean, we're basically trying to build a metronet, and it is kind of funny in a lot of different regards.
Right. We won't ask about your personal life or anything else in that case. Then we just stick to the record and in your office. That's great. Okay. So Zac, over to you. And Mark has just joined us at the moment. Mark, are you there?
I am here, yes.
Well, hey, I've got my co-host back. Excellent. Okay, Mark. Well, you're sitting there looking nice and warm. I'm just back from a run, and we're just chatting to Wyatt and Zac, and I've just likened them to the TV show Silicon Valley. So things are going good. And our listeners are there now giggling away at home and in their cars. Anyway, Zac, so tell me about the challenges you're facing at the moment.
In the first place, my job is to be able to educate a general public and developers in and around what we're trying to do. And I'm sure what you gathered from a brief description from Wyatt, there's a huge amount of complexity involved in terms of what we're building and what we're trying to solve for. And yes, there is a large audience of individuals who are clued up and can digest a very technical document like our white paper. But my challenges at the moment is effectively inspiring consumers and individuals to want to, and I'm raising, no one can see because this is a podcast, but I'm raising my Apple smart device in my hand now. Ultimately, come next year, we want people to run nodes on their smart devices. First and foremost, probably their phones, but our application and the ability to run nodes through Constellation will be applicable to anything from smart TVs to smart cars. And as a marketer, I need to be able to inspire individuals to be part of this movement, part of Constellation, and effectively grow our network. And as I said, we're getting a lot of traction on Telegram, as I'm sure you've interviewed a number of blockchain startups who have followings on that platform and use that platform to communicate what they're doing. And that's growing day by day, as well as across other communities on Reddit and Discord. But ultimately, we need to branch out beyond this audience. And what I've been doing is creating marketing materials, videos, infographics, regular blog updates that looks to kind of demystify some of the very theoretical and technical products and ideas that Wyatt and the team are working on. And that's easier said than done. It's actually quite difficult to explain something like type theory or thermoeconomics, things that Wyatt has been building into how he's validating the network in kind of layman's terms. So we're working with production companies and bloggers and YouTubers and other content creators to create a kind of a wealth of content that can satisfy lots of different people. with the end goal of inspiring running nodes on small devices.
Okay, so let me put this question to both of you. Let's imagine at the moment we've got 2,000 developers listening, we've got 2,000 hobbyist computer guys listening, and we've got 2,000 IT managers listening. What are the messages for those three different groups about your platform and how it can change their world?
And what other groups are you trying to get hold of as well? Not just those three.
Sure. Could you break down what were those three groups again one more time?
Okay, so group one, we've got 2,000 developers there sitting there, and they're coding away, listening to this podcast because they can do two things at once. They're absolute geniuses. We've then got our hobbyist people who do a bit of coding at the weekend. They're doing it for fun, setting it up. And we've got 2,000 IT managers wearing suits and ties, and they're listening to this in their BMW as they're driving home from work, thinking, how does this change my business and my developer platform, etc.?
Okay, there we go. Great. So for crowd number one, if you've ever like tried to build an interface to a blockchain, unless you're like totally writing your own from scratch or forking something, you're probably writing something with like a smart contract programming language like Solidity. I would recommend you just stop and start just focusing on some fundamentals. And in the next couple of months, I'm going to provide some tools for you to actually just like launch your own chain and then also easily program the actual the utility of that blockchain. So basically, if you know how to write any JVM-based language, we just chose Java based upon the fact we can port it to Android easily as an SDK, and due to the fact most people know how to program it, and also just there's so many libraries out there, and the interoperability is great. You'll be able to basically just import our code base and create something called an application chain interface, and then launch your own parallel blockchain Constellation or any other chain, depending on how or whatever you want. It'll be as simple as that, and you'll be able to have some of the same benefits that we have, at least in our architecture. So for cohort number two, it'll be people on the weekends and stuff. If you guys are have any extra machines or just shit laying around inside your garage, if you host a couple instances of Constellation as it comes out, whether it's like on the testnet or our mainnet, you'll be able to mine like at least a few dollars a day just from some ambient like wasted clock cycles on devices in your garage. So I highly recommend you just go and download and Constellation and launch a few instances of the app. It's essentially has the same resource usage as like SETI at home or like the protein folding games that are out there. You'll just be able to run some stuff, contribute to the network, actually mine some things very easily. Number three, from the business manager perspective, not business, but like the IT manager perspective, the one thing that's really interesting is if you want to actually create some sort of an interface to like blockchain tech within your actual existing code base, there really isn't anything out there except for us that will actually be natively. Basically, you can natively like input an instance of our app onto any server that's hosting your app. In general, like you can actually like in a 3-line code change, like host a Constellation node inside your servers. So if you're dealing with anything that has like a really high, like you're doing like load balancers or stuff with really high throughput, if you're a big data person and you just got, maybe like some type of like a point of sale system, if you're someone who works with Square, you're someone who's working with like Apple Pay, if you consider like right now just putting an instance of Constellation in every instance of your app that's being like load balanced, one, you can in a 3-line code change actually like take ACI or coin in your point of sale system, and two, as you scale your actual backend, you'll scale the number of instances of the Constellation app, and one, it'll increase your reputation score, so the throughput for your transaction rates will go through the roof, and two, you'll actually make a little bit of money, just like our cohort number 2 here, who's got some leftover hardware in his garage. So from a business perspective, I mean, it's a 3-line code change to start accepting crypto in your payments. You can actually like launch and scale this thing the same way you do your app in such a way that it will actually also help pay for those instance costs And then 3, a reputation model, and your score will increase, thus also increasing the throughput available for any instance of your application as you increase those instances. So it's kind of a win-win in every regard for you as the business owner.
You talked about cohort 2, and if people have spare clock cycles and could start mining and start building up a purse of your cryptocurrency. Reputationally, how do you think we should prevent that kind of being taken and turned into some, the next, next hack, next virus attack on corporate devices? I think we're starting to see, well, at the moment, maybe Monero mining is kind of vogue, certainly in the circles I've moved in, whereby maybe someone's trying to exploit the latest Drupal vulnerability or exploit latest vulnerability and start using maliciously somebody's clock cycles to start mining crypto. That has, I guess, a knock-on effect to the reputational value of the coin and of the ecosystem. Are there any technological kind of preventions, or indeed reputation and marketing preventions being thought of to say, well, we don't want somebody to, because it's easy, use that as the latest threat vector onto corporate devices to then maliciously build up that coin because it's easier.
Got it. So just to clarify, you mean sort of like is there an issue, or are we concerned about malware, or like someone actually?
Yeah. So somebody taking your legitimate mining solution that, as you say, a hobbyist could pick up at the weekend, and using that to maliciously generate coin on devices that you didn't own.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess in short, we don't really require any special rig whatsoever. I mean, our application will be as simple as just something called like a jar file or a small executable binary. You'll be able to just pull it directly from our GitHub, and like as long as you get it from the trusted source, you really shouldn't have any issue. I mean, in terms of something like code injection or like whatever you're talking about right there, I mean, that's a pretty complicated issue that actually isn't really our problem. It's really up to the application developer. So if somebody actually does, write something really like insecurely, but it does have like a Constellation node running in it, I don't necessarily see any way in which someone could use like our node to try and take hold of the greater machine. Pretty simple app. So I mean, yeah,
I guess it's more about the other way around. I guess if somebody has already maliciously taken over someone else's machine and then decides to deploy one of your nodes on that machine, so that then they can generate whatever value they can generate on it. I guess what I'm starting to see, certainly in the UK, and some of the hacks and exploits I've seen recently, as I said, Monero maybe is an example we're starting to see, whereby it's not Monero's fault that it's a relatively good return on investment in terms of cycles, but there are people trying to write new malware to take advantage of that. And I was just wondering if there's a kind of a negative knock-on effect reputationally to say, well, your mining rig could be quite easy to set up, but there is also kind of a negative side of that it could be too easy. Somebody could turn it into a piece of malware that that they've used on an exploited machine, but it might drag down your kind of reputation because it's using your good stuff in a bad way.
Sure. I totally hear where you're coming from. So number one, just to clarify, like we actually don't have mining rigs. Literally, like any just small device is really what we're trying to target here. So it's not necessarily that we were trying to like have some machine. Like basically, like we're talking about your own home personal computer getting attacked is what I'm talking. Is sort of the scenario you're talking about. If it's somebody else, like in cohort 3 we talked about before, like the actual IT professional, I'm assuming this would be something on a cloud service provider like AWS. But yeah, I mean, in short, I do understand like people are doing that. I guess one thing you could sort of point to is one, we're Litecoin, like we're actually like we're open, and anyone who's actually trying to inject an instance of the app on somebody else's device and then like use it, you'll be able to, just through network traffic, to see who that person's public key is. In a second. So you'll be able to trace back to who that person is. And honestly, like, we have a system of retribution on our actual network where people can check other people for, like, you know, not paying them, or like, you know, just things like that. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bunch of ways you could identify that this public key is like a dick, and we could also blacklist them.
Okay.
It's part of the way in which we perform delegate selection, is we keep track of the behavior of every public key that's on the network. And if that public key does something that's like reprehensible, or to some varying degree, like obviously like mistakes happen, but if somebody's like clearly performing a civil attack, we then like demote and eventually ban them.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got all of these people listening now, and you're still listening in your cars at home and while you're developing. How do they get involved? Where do they go? Where do they find out more information? And where are those PowerPoint slides, Zac, telling us everything about the platform?
Oh, hey guys. So there's two big things happening at this first half of this year. No, first and second, because July is in the second. We have our TG, token generation event, happening on the 31st of May. That portal will be, and whitelist portal will be launching at the end of this week. And then further to that, in July, alongside TechCrunch, we'll be launching our testnet. So all the good and fun stuff that Wyatt referred to, we'll be actually launching that code and allowing individuals to come in and play with us and try and break our system and figure out what exactly is going on. So TG end of May and testnet launching in July. You can go to constellationlabs.io to find out, which is a direct link to our Telegram group. We're really active on there. We have a great community manager called Old Teeth and a team of 12 people globally who get back on pretty much any question anyone has within the hour. We have our link to our white paper, and soon to be uploaded this week, a business white paper, which is a less technical version of our white paper document. And you can find out about the wider team of 19 people on there. And we have some videos overviewing our technology as well as the team as well. So plenty of information on the website, as well as downloads to that business pitch deck, and soon to be the TG whitelist registration page as well.
Fabulous. I'm sure our listeners will be going there and finding out more information. It's really been great to speak to you both. It's interesting. So I started off talking about Wyatt's office. Zac, it looks like the roof of your office is nearly complete now.
Yeah, I get rained on a few times a day, but it's nearly there.
Yeah, Zac's sitting in an office with a very minimal ceiling. Is that a Dell XPS laptop or something?
It's not. I think behind me is, I'm not sure what that is. It's the office behind me.
Fabulous. It's always good to see where you're talking from. It gives us an idea for the environments you work in. Mark, any more questions before we sign off?
So, a question for both of you. In the wide world of blockchain and distributed ledger technology, who are your personal heroes?
In the space or just in life in general?
In this space, particularly.
You know, man, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't really know anyone. I'm a complete and total outsider. I don't follow bullshit on Twitter and politics. I'm just here for the tech, dude. Quite frankly, I will also say I'm kind of bummed out about how, like, just the space in general being so, like, I'll be frank, just childish and, like, not really respecting the power that we hold. I think it's ridiculous, and I'm trying to sort of bring a different wave of people just being responsible with the fact that we're literally creating.
Kudos.
I'm not talking with Brock Pierce.
Yeah, as Wyatt said, I think you'll see from how we approach the space, a lot of our marketing materials, our site, how we generally act. We're trying to up-level the level of professionalism and accountability that you see across the board. There's been a number of actors that we're particularly uncomfortable with in terms of how they've been approaching the space, because we really do feel we're building the next internet, and mean that in a very serious sense. And it's going to take a group of dedicated people with good intentions in order to lead that down the right path and make sure it stays safe and open and free. And we count ourselves as part of that group. In terms of who I look up to, there's other people running who are obviously developing DAG technology, as we are as well. They do some things that I really like, some things they don't, but I do respect a lot of their marketing and a lot of their technology, and we do watch them closely, and obviously we think that we have great differentiating aspects to our technology and better technology. But the likes of Dfinity, Hashgraph, and Polkadot, I think Wyatt already mentioned them. We watch those guys very closely and think they're doing really cool stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I guess so. Like, I don't really know people personally, but I'd say projects I'm really interested in. Archain for sure. I think their shit's very legit. Very big fan. We're using a lot of the same tech, or just like libraries and the way in which we built our stuff. And then two, actually, I really like Polkadot. Polkadot was something that really was an impetus to me, sort of identifying the cross-chain liquidity issue. Yeah, I think we've taken a slightly different approach to it, but all the same, I think that they're definitely leaders.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's good to know that you're out there. Makes me feel better.
We out here,
Fabulous.
Just saying that now you're our new personal heroes.
Oh, come on, man. You too, dude.
Okay, right. We must check in with you, because I think this could get more entertaining if we do this on a regular basis, to see where you're going, what obstacles you're finding, and your real world view of what's happening inside the blockchain arena. I think that might be quite good fun. So yeah, we definitely keep in touch with you and see what's coming up. And if you
good luck with the TG. Good luck. That'd be really cool to keep an eye on.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited to stay in touch, too.
Send us a note and we can introduce you to more members of the family and keep you updated as we go along.
That would be great. Tell all your friends and family to download the podcast as well. And fabulous. I'll let you get back to the whiteboard, Wyatt. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye. And thank you to our listeners. Have a great day, evening, and don't forget to check the website and check Facebook, and we will have more updates coming soon. So thank you for downloading. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for an easy way to buy Bitcoin or Ether on a safe, secure platform? Coinbase is the easiest place to buy and sell digital currencies. Sign up today as a friend of the Blockchain Show, and if you buy or sell $100 of Bitcoin or more, you'll earn $10 of free Bitcoin for yourself and $10 of Bitcoin to support this show. Join now using the link in this episode's show notes at theblockchainshow.com. To learn more, visit theblockchainshow.com.